We already know that any audio file that you load into a montage will play out of the master section and get processed accordingly. However, there are ways to add individual track effects to each track. Let's go over that. And I'm going to remove these two files. I'll just select this first file and hit my delete key on my keyboard. Same thing here. I'll delete that. The history is also available to you in the montage, and the montage history is different than the audio editor history. Just know that you can go back in time and undo anything or redo anything that you've done in the past as long as you haven't quit Wavelab or saved or closed the audio montage or the audio editor. And now let's add some individual tracks to this project. What I'm going to do is just drop and drag 8 different songs from the same band all onto our very first audio track right here. And as soon as I get to right about the 0 position, I'll let go. And then it's going to ask me how I want to insert the audio files. Do I want them to line up on a single track, or do I want to stagger them between 2 alternating tracks, or place each file on a separate track, which is a stacked option? Then you can choose to start inserting below the selected track or use existing tracks and create new tracks if necessary. Since I want to apply different track effects to all of these audio files, I'm going to choose that option, but then I can also reorder these files if I wanted to. In other words, if I wanted this song to be first, then I can move that up in the list. And if I wanted this song to be last, then I can move it down to the bottom of the list. When I click on OK, here's what's going to happen. You'll see that all of those individual clips are now assigned to their own individual tracks. So if I zoom up here with the little elevator box, you'll see that here's our first track, then our second track we would want to have play after the first clip, and so you want to reorder these so that they don't all play at the same time, because what you're thinking about is the timeline as they're going to be arranged on an audio CD. So you can choose which track starts and which track is in the center and which one ends and so forth. So you'll want to reorder them in the order that you want them to appear on the CD or on the digipack, or however the music is going to be delivered to a streaming service or duplication house or whatnot. But now each individual track has its own effects. So you may want to add a treatment to all of the tracks with the master rig. If all of these songs sounded similar and they all needed about the same equalizer, then you could add that EQ inside of the master rig plugin or any equalizer that you like to use. But then there may be individual treatments on each of these files. So on our first track, we may want to add a different kind of compressor. So if we click on the Add Effect button, then we can choose which effects we want to use, including an entire master rig on that one audio track. So this instance of the master rig, you can see, is on track number 1. So it is not associated in any way with the master rig in the master section. Instead, this master rig can be used on this audio track and any audio clip that is assigned to that track, so that the effects in this master rig are different than any other effect on any other track. So instead of using the equalizer, you could say this one needs a little bit of different compression, whereas the second track needs a more subtle EQ. So you could add an effect here, use the master rig, the mastering section, and change the EQ for that track. And then if you have other songs that sound exactly the way that you want them to using this track's EQ, you could even move another audio clip to that same track so that it gets processed using the same exact track effects as the other clips assigned to it. And one other thing you may have noticed already is that the inspector lights up over here. So that's a tab which is next to the master section. But now we're looking at track effects. And you can see that the track effects can have multiple effects assigned to them. So you could have a master rig, and then you could use your own third-party compressor, or you could add a reverb plugin, and that would only apply to that individual track. You can always get back to the master section effects just by clicking master section, but the inspector itself helps you to configure the order of the effects that you want to use, as well as the gain, so that you can change both the output of the track itself as well as the panning of each clip that is on that associated track. So those are track effects. Next, let's talk about clip effects.